The cameras were already rolling when the tension broke. Pam Bondi, America's Attorney General, sat at the witness table under glaring lights, a wall of microphones pointed straight at her. Senators leaned forward like predators. "Did you authorize the prosecution of Trump's political rivals?" one asked. She smiled, paused, and said, "The Department of Justice doesn't answer to political hysteria." Yeah, you heard that right. At that moment, half the room erupted. Democrats pounding the table, Republicans applauding. The Justice Department, once the symbol of neutrality, had just become the stage for America's newest civil war. Pam Bondi wasn't just testifying, she was defending her entire department, and maybe her career. Because behind the questions and the cameras, something much bigger was brewing. The Senate wasn't just investigating her judgment. They were asking a darker question: who controls justice in America now? To understand how Pam Bondi ended up in the center of this firestorm, you have to rewind a few weeks. It started with a series of aggressive DOJ actions that caught everyone off guard. High-profile indictments, leaks of sealed grand jury motions, subpoenas landing on the desks of people who once investigated Trump. Democrats said it was revenge. Republicans called it reform. At the center of it all, Attorney General Pam Bondi, Trump's trusted legal ally. She'd been appointed with one mission: restore integrity to the DOJ after what Trump called years of weaponized justice. But within months, Bondi's Justice Department was accused of doing exactly that, turning the power of prosecution into a political weapon.
When PBS NewsHour reported that Bondi personally signed off on sensitive cases involving former administration critics, the Senate demanded answers. So a hearing was scheduled, live, televised, and within minutes, it exploded. Federal News Network called it one of the most confrontational oversight hearings in years. Democrats accused Bondi of transforming the DOJ into the president's private law firm. Republicans fired back, saying she was cleaning up a corrupt bureaucracy left over from the previous administration. The stakes couldn't be higher, because this wasn't just about one attorney general. It was about whether the nation's top law enforcement agency could ever again claim to be neutral. The hearing began like a slow burn: polite greetings, procedural notes, the illusion of control. Then Senator Sheldon Whitehouse broke the silence. "Madam Attorney General," he said, leaning into the mic, "did or did you not intervene to expedite indictments against James Comey and Letitia James?" Bondi didn't blink. "The department acts independently," she said flatly. Whitehouse smirked. "That's not what your own prosecutors are saying." The air in the chamber changed. Reporters started typing faster. Cameras zoomed in. Senator Mazie Hirono followed. "You've refused to release internal DOJ memos on these prosecutions. What are you hiding?" Bondi countered. "You're confusing political theater with oversight." That line, political theater, triggered chaos. Democrats shouted. Republicans laughed. The chair banged the gavel, but the noise kept rising. According to The Guardian, Bondi parried and deflected like a veteran political fighter. She refused to answer direct questions about troop deployments ordered during federal arrests, calling them operational details.
But what stunned observers was not what she said, it was what she didn't say. She never denied that Trump had been briefed before certain indictments dropped. She never denied that loyalists had been placed in key U.S. attorney roles. Senator Amy Klobuchar raised her voice. "Are you using the DOJ to settle political scores?" "Bondi, I'm using it to enforce the law, something my predecessors seemed to forget." Gasps. Half the chamber applauded. The other half whispered impeachment. Meanwhile, Al Jazeera reported that GOP senators like Ted Cruz and Josh Hawley jumped to her defense. Cruz said the left hates accountability, they just don't want it aimed at them. Hawley added, "Pam Bondi's doing what every AG should, enforcing justice without fear of political backlash." But fear was exactly what filled the room, because deep down, everyone knew this wasn't about one policy. It was about power. Bondi's calm defiance wasn't confidence, it was strategy. By refusing to bend, she made herself the symbol of a larger movement, Trump's total reclamation of the institutions that once tried to restrain him. And for Democrats, that was the ultimate nightmare: a Justice Department loyal not to the law, but to one man. When the hearing ended, the reaction was instant. Cable news went into overdrive. Hashtags like DOJ Weaponized and Bondi hearing trended for 48 hours straight. In the Senate hallways, tempers flared long after the cameras stopped. Senator Dick Durbin called Bondi's testimony a masterclass in stonewalling. Republicans framed it as a witch hunt against a woman cleaning up the swamp.
But the real battle wasn't in Congress. It was inside the DOJ itself. Leaks began pouring out. Internal emails, staff resignations, whispers of dissent. Career prosecutors told Federal News Network they were terrified of political interference. One senior official reportedly said every charging decision now comes with a political calculation. The DOJ's morale was collapsing. According to Al Jazeera, Bondi held a closed-door meeting after the hearing, warning staff against unauthorized communication. One witness described it as chilling, like being told to pick a side. Outside the building, protests formed. Signs read, "Justice shouldn't serve one man," and "Who's next on the list?" Meanwhile, Trump praised her from the White House lawn. "Pam's tough. She's doing what the American people elected us to do: fix a broken system." Those words landed like a missile because they confirmed what Democrats feared most, that the DOJ's independence had officially been replaced by loyalty. Senator Elizabeth Warren went on MSNBC, calling for a special counsel. If the Attorney General is acting as the president's lawyer, then Congress must act as the people's prosecutor. Within hours, House Democrats were drafting letters demanding internal DOJ communications and hinting at something bigger: impeachment-style oversight. Bondi's allies, however, saw opportunity. Conservative commentators praised her for standing up to a hostile Senate. Fundraising emails labeled her the first Attorney General with backbone. But behind the applause was a deeper question no one could shake. Could the Justice Department ever function again if every decision was seen through a partisan lens?
And that's when the rumors began. Whispers that DOJ inspectors were quietly reviewing her conduct, that federal judges were raising concerns about the legitimacy of her prosecutions. If any of that turned out to be true, the entire Justice Department could unravel. Legally, politically, and symbolically. But here's the part nobody's talking about. What happens if this actually goes forward? If Pam Bondi's DOJ falls under formal investigation, it would be the first time in U.S. history that a sitting attorney general faced congressional inquiry for political weaponization. That's unprecedented and terrifying. Think about the pattern.
Nixon tried to obstruct justice. Clinton tried to contain it. Trump and now Bondi are accused of owning it. This is the evolution of power in real time. When checks and balances become suggestions, the executive branch doesn't need to hide its control, it flaunts it. Analysts say Bondi represents the new face of Trump-era governance. Direct, unapologetic, confrontational. She doesn't deny politicization, she reframes it. To her supporters, she's restoring fairness. To her critics, she's rewriting the definition of justice. That divide is the real crisis, because when half the country believes every indictment is revenge and the other half believes every acquittal is corruption, justice collapses into performance. Political historian Alan Lichtman told The Guardian, "This isn't about partisanship anymore. It's about perception. If trust in justice dies, democracy follows." Meanwhile, inside Washington, the strategy is clear. Bondi's defiance rallies Trump's base. Every attack from Democrats only strengthens her credibility among loyalists who see her as the last line of defense against the deep state. She's not running from controversy, she's harnessing it. But long-term, it's a dangerous game. Because if her critics manage to prove even one case of improper interference, one memo, one leaked directive, it could lead to impeachment proceedings. Not against Trump this time, but against his attorney general. And if that happens, the entire 2025 administration narrative collapses. The promise to restore justice becomes proof of corruption. The movement built on cleaning up the system becomes the system itself, bloated, defensive, and self-serving. This is why Bondi's testimony mattered so much. It wasn't just another Senate fight. It was the line between reform and regime. Scenario 1.
full oversight offensive. Democrats move aggressively, issuing subpoenas for internal DOJ communications. If evidence of coordination with Trump's team surfaces, Bondi faces impeachment. Republicans retaliate with counter-investigations into past DOJ officials, creating a legislative Cold War. Result? Institutional paralysis. Public faith collapses even further. Scenario 2. The Loyalty Shield. Bondi survives the storm, buoyed by Republican unity and Trump's protection. The DOJ doubles down on prosecutions of Trump critics. Democrats label it dictatorship. Trump calls it justice at last. The political divide hardens into something irreversible, a justice system trusted by no one. Scenario 3. The Quiet Revolt. Leaked internal memos force Bondi's resignation before hearings can escalate. She's replaced by a neutral figure, but the damage is done. Every future attorney general inherits a broken institution where neutrality is a myth. In that future, every case becomes a political act, every verdict a campaign ad.
No matter which path unfolds, one truth remains. Pam Bondi's hearing wasn't the climax, it was the spark. The kind of spark that ignites a system already soaked in distrust. So here's the question you have to ask yourself. Is Pam Bondi defending the rule of law or redefining it? Because if justice can be steered, shaped, or silenced by whoever holds power, then every citizen becomes a spectator, not a participant. When the Attorney General becomes the story instead of the safeguard, it's not just another Washington scandal, it's a warning. This fight isn't about left or right anymore. It's about whether truth can still exist in a room full of microphones and agendas. And the scariest part? This story isn't ending, it's expanding. Next week, more subpoenas, more hearings, more leaks, and maybe more resignations. So stay alert, because when justice becomes politics, every American ends up on trial. Like, share, and subscribe, because the next headline might not be about them. It might be about us.